Dear students, I am Dr. Pooja Sharma, faculty of MBA department. I'll discuss today the concept of trial balance and the errors of trial balance. Trial balance, it is the third book of account, or it is a statement prepared with the debit and credit balances extracted from the ledger accounts to test the arithmetical accuracy of the books or the recorded transactions so far. And it is prepared at the accounting period, at the end of the accounting period, or at the end of the each month. The balances of ledger accounts are taken out, and trial balance is prepared to test whether the debits are equal to the total of credits, and it helps in checking the arithmetical accuracy of entries made in the ledger. Basically, this is a statement which is based on the double entry system, and as per the double entry system, every debit should have a corresponding credit. So the total of debit balances and credit balances should equal to each other. If there is any difference, that should be checked, identified and rectified at the stage of the trial balance. The objectives of preparing a trial balance: it helps in to ascertain the arithmetical accuracy of the records, all the records prepared so far. It helps in identifying the errors and rectify the error, and it helps in preparing the final accounts also, because on the basis of the final accounts, the financial position or the profit and loss position of the business can be identified. So it is the basis on which final accounts are prepared. Now, for preparing the trial balance, the basic rules: as it is based on double entry system, so assets and expenses are debit balances and liabilities and incomes are credit balances always. It is a basically statement which is prepared at the third stage. First book is journal entry, second book ledger, third book is trial balance. So when the trial balance is prepared, there may be some errors. It is prepared basically to identify the kinds of error, which type of error can occur during the recording all the transactions. So there are the two types of errors. First, errors of principle. Second, error of clerical errors. Clerical errors again are classified in three categories. First, or types: errors of omission, errors of commission or compensating error. Errors of omission means whenever any entries, any transaction is not recorded or is not recorded in the books of account, completely or partially not recorded in the books of account, that error is known as error of omission. It may be classified in two categories: complete omission or partial omission. Complete omission: when a transaction is totally omitted to be recorded in the books of account. Suppose goods purchased from the RAM and that is not recorded in the books, so that errors cannot be identified with the help of the trial balance. Second, partial error, partial omission. Partial omission means this type of error when one side is recorded and another side is left to record. Suppose, example, credit sale of goods to Shyam recorded in the sales book but not recorded in the Shyam's book. So this error affects the trial balance, and this error can be identified with the help of the trial balance. Now, second kind of error, errors of commission. This error arises due to wrongly recording, wrongly posting, or wrong casting, wrong balancing, wrong carry forwarding. This kind of error can be happen due to these reasons. Suppose figure posted on the wrong side or with the wrong amount, Suppose goods purchased of worth of rupees 5,000 on credit basis is recorded in the books for rupees 5,500. So this error does not affect the trial balance, because the goods purchased from Sham on credit basis worth rupees 5,000, and in books of account that is recorded, amount is recorded 5,500. So this kind of error does not affect the trial balance, because in debit or credit side, both the sides you have recorded 5,500 in place of 5,000. So this kind of error is known as error of recording. Compensating error. Compensating error means when one error can be compensated by the another error. Suppose in purchase, if the purchase book and sales book both are overcasting or over totaling by 10,000 rupees, so the error mutually compensate each other. This error will not affect the agreement of the trial balance or preparing the trial balance. Now next is principal, error of principal. Transactions are recorded as per generally accepted accounting principle, as per the GAAP basically. If any of these principle is ignored, errors resulting from such ignorance are known as errors of principle. For example, purchase of assets recorded in the purchase book, but whenever the assets are purchased, the company should write, means accountant should write the name of that very asset, but he recorded that assets in the purchase book. So a trial balance will not disclose this error of principle, because both should be debited. Purchase will be debited also, and fixed assets will be debited. So this kind of error cannot be identified, cannot be disclosed by the trial balance. Now next steps, rectification of errors is a series of steps. First, pass the correct entry. Second, compare the wrong entry with the correct entry, correct one. Suppose whatever the amount, suppose the errors which can be identified, can be possible with the help with those transactions only which can be identified. Suppose one side, debit side is written that account, in credit side which is not written. Sales has done but recorded in the debit side. Sales account, it is recorded in sales amount only, not recorded in cash. So that should be sales should be credited. It is credited already, but cash is not debited at the debit side. So that can be corrected, and that can be identified at this stage, and the correct entry pass again. And if the trial balance does not tally, some errors which cannot be identified, and because of that, if the trial balance does not tally, then the difference is transferred to the suspense account. Now this is the format or specimen of the trial balance. Trial balance is a statement prepared in a tabular form. It has two columns, one for the debit balances and second for the credit balances. Points to be noted while preparing the trial balance: date on which the trial balance is prepared should be mentioned at the top. At the same time, at the top, the name of the company should be right. As I have given the example of ABC Limited, you should write the name of the company. Name of account columns contain the list of all the ledger accounts. Ledger folio of the respective account is entered in the next column. In the debit column, the debit balances are entered. Credit balance of the respective account is written in the credit column. At the last, the columns are totaled, and this is the format of preparing the trial balance. Now, this is one of the example of, I have just taken out some examples, some balances. As capital should be credited, drawings debited, purchases debited, sales credited, expenses debited, debtors debited, creditors, liabilities, that's why it is credited, cash debited as assets, sales return debited, As per the accounting rules, as per the double entry system, all the transactions should be debited, or transactions should be debited and credited. Assets should be debited always, liabilities credited always. Remember this thing, this is very important. When you are just passing the wrong entry, your trial balance will not be tally. So for this purpose, you need to know about the double entry rules, double entry system. Now there are two methods which is used to prepare trial balance. First, the total method, second, the balance method. In this method, in total method, the totals of debit and credit sides of the ledger accounts are shown in the trial balance, and the sum totals of debit and credit columns of the trial balance must be equal. This is basically less popular method. Next, balance method. In this method, the balances of the ledger account are taken out to respective debit and credit columns of the trial balance. Then the grand total is taken out, and the total of balances in the debit columns must be equal to the total balances in the credit column. So these are the methods which are used to prepare the trial balance. So in next lecture, I'll discuss some examples of the trial balance. Thank you so much.